This is why your ex still lives in your head, even when you swear you're over them, even when you know deep down the relationship wasn't healthy, and even when you tell yourself you'd never go back. It happens in quiet moments, late at night, driving alone, scrolling your phone, or hearing a song you didn't expect to hurt this much, and suddenly your mind pulls them back like they never left. Psychology experts say this isn't because you're weak or stuck. It's because your brain doesn't let go of emotional bonds the same way your logic does. When a relationship ends, most people think the pain comes from missing the person. But psychologists and neuroscientists explain that what you're really experiencing is your brain losing a regulation system. During a relationship, your partner becomes part of how your nervous system stays balanced. Your brain learns that this person equals comfort, safety, validation, excitement, or emotional relief. Over time, your brain doesn't see them as optional. It sees them as necessary. So when the relationship ends, your brain doesn't process it as, this is over. It processes it as something essential has been removed. This is why breakups can feel confusing. One moment you know the relationship had problems. The next moment, all you can think about is how much you miss them. Psychology observers explain that the brain prioritizes emotional memory over factual memory. It doesn't replay arguments or disappointments as strongly as it replays moments of connection. Your mind isn't lying to you, it's protecting what once helped you survive emotionally. From a neuroscience perspective, romantic attachment activates the same reward systems involved in habit and addiction. Dopamine, the chemical responsible for motivation and pleasure, gets released when you think about your partner, hear their voice, or imagine a future with them. Over time, your brain associates them with emotional reward. When they're gone, dopamine drops. And just like withdrawal, your brain starts craving the source it lost. That craving shows up as thoughts, memories, an emotional pull, not because you should go back, but because your brain wants relief. Another reason your ex still lives in your head is something psychologists call unfinished emotional processing. Many relationships don't end with closure. There are words you never said, questions that never got answered, and feelings that were never fully expressed. The brain hates uncertainty, so it replays the past, searching for meaning, trying to rewrite the ending, hoping that thinking about it long enough will somehow resolve the emotional tension. This is why you replay conversations in your head and imagine what you should have said. It's not obsession, it's your brain trying to finish a story that feels incomplete. That psychology experts also talk about the power of emotional contrast. When you're in a relationship, your emotional life is fuller, not always happier, but more stimulated. After a breakup, life often feels quieter and emptier. Your brain compares the emotional intensity of the past with the stillness of the present and interprets that difference as loss. That doesn't mean the relationship was good. It means your nervous system hasn't adjusted yet. Over time, as new emotional experiences appear, the contrast softens. There's also the role of identity. When you're emotionally attached to someone, your brain blends your sense of self with theirs. Your routines, future plans, and emotional habits intertwine. When the relationship ends, you don't just lose a person, you lose a version of yourself. Psychology observers say this is why people often miss who they were in the relationship more than the partner themselves. The brain isn't just grieving the person, it's grieving the identity that existed with them. This effect is even stronger for people in their late teens and 20s. Neuroscience shows that the brain's identity and emotional regulation centers are still developing during this period. Relationships formed during these years leave deeper imprints. That's why first loves, intense early relationships, or emotionally formative partners tend to linger in the mind longer. Not because they were perfect, but because they were present while the brain was still wiring itself. Social media makes all of this harder. Psychology research shows that seeing an ex online even briefly reactivates emotional memory. The brain doesn't fully separate digital presence from real presence. A single image or update can trigger the same neural pathways as direct interaction. This keeps emotional attachment alive longer than it naturally would. It's not that you're checking because you care, you're checking because your brain is still attached. Another powerful reason your ex lives in your head is intermittent reinforcement. This happens when a relationship had emotional highs and lows, affection followed by distance, closeness followed by confusion. Studies show that unpredictable emotional rewards create stronger psychological bonds than consistent ones. That's why unstable relationships are often harder to forget than stable ones. Your brain keeps chasing the highs, even when the lows caused pain. Psychologists also explain that memory becomes selective after loss. The brain edits the past, highlights moments of connection, and minimizes moments of hurt. This is called rosy retrospection. It's not denial, it's the brain's attempt to preserve emotional meaning. That's why your ex can start to feel more important over time. Even if the relationship wasn't right for you, what's important to understand is this. Thinking about your ex does not mean you want them back. Thoughts are not intentions. Memories are not commands. The brain replays what was emotionally significant, not what is emotionally healthy for your future. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means reducing emotional charge. Psychology experts emphasize that the brain lets go when it no longer needs. The old attachment to regulate emotions, that happens through new routines, new sources of meaning, and new emotional rewards. This doesn't require another relationship. It requires growth. Learning new skills, building new habits, and forming new identities create fresh neural connections that slowly weaken old ones. Trying to force yourself to stop thinking about your ex often backfires. Suppression strengthens memory. Acceptance weakens it. When you stop judging yourself for having these thoughts, the brain stops treating them as urgent. Over time, they lose intensity. Healing is not linear. Some days, you'll feel strong. Other days, a memory will hit unexpectedly. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means your brain is processing layers of attachment. Progress isn't measured by never thinking about them again. It's measured by how much power those thoughts hold over you. Eventually, your ex stops living in your head not because you erased them, but because your brain no longer needs them for emotional regulation. The memory remains, but the emotional grip loosens. You don't feel anger. You don't feel longing. You feel neutral. And neutrality is a sign of healing. So if your ex still lives in your head, understand this. You're not broken. You're human. Your brain formed a bond, learned from it, and now needs time to rewire. Psychology doesn't shame attachment, it explains it. And understanding the mind is the first step toward letting go without forcing it. This is how attachment fades. This is how healing actually works. And this is how you move forward, not by forgetting, but by outgrowing. If you want more psychology-backed insights about love, attachment, and human behavior, this is MindeticPsy, where we decode the human mind.